Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Jody Anderson Duquette here with Workamper News, and this is the Workamping Q&A session for April 2024. Now, if you're not familiar with Workamper News, we have been helping great people find great jobs in great places since 1987. I myself have been with Workamper News for almost 18 years now. My family actually purchased Workamper News from the original creators, and now my husband and I are the main operators and owners of Workamper News. And we are RVers ourselves. We've been RVing since about 2013 or so. We've had a fifth wheel, a Class C RV, and now we have a bumper pull travel trailer. We love the RV lifestyle as much as we love operating Workamper News and helping you guys out there live your RV travel dreams. So today I'm going to go through the questions that you all submitted ahead of time. We had quite a few registrations, so lots of good questions came in. Those of you who are on the live webinar with us, I'm happy to take your input and questions as well, although the pre-submitted questions probably will take up the majority of our time. Typically these things run anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes because I just want to tell you guys all of the things. So if you are on the live webinar with us, you should have a GoToWebinar control panel there on your screen with a question section that you can click into to type into. If you're on a smartphone or tablet, you should have that questions option on the bottom of your screen to tap on to type in any input or questions that you may have. So we're going to go through all the submitted questions. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Workamper News, but I promise this isn't just going to be a commercial for Workamper News the whole time. But we are the entity that started this whole thing. There were, of course, folks out there, work camping, but there wasn't a name for it really. So back in 1987, the term work camper was born, trademarked by us. And so Workamper News since then has been connecting employers and work campers together, providing resources for both to help both sides of the equation find the best matches for each other. Work camping is a really great lifestyle, but it does have ups and downs, challenges, hurdles, and it's not for everyone. So our goal and our passion, like I said, is just to provide as many resources and information services as we can to help you guys find the most success at this lifestyle. So our website is workamper.com. That's our online home. If you go to workampernews.com, you'll find us as well. And so we have job finding tools, of course, job listings. You'll find more job listings on our website than all the other resources combined, including social media. We have employer research tools. So we have the Workamper Experiences section, which has been compiling reviews on specific employers since 2007, and we put direct links to those reviews with our job listings. So, we try to make things easier for you instead of endlessly scrolling through a website trying to find something or a social media group trying to look at job listings in between all the other junky posts. This is a much more straightforward and streamlined way of connecting with thousands of different employers around the country. And to us, work camping is doing any kind of work while living in an RV. So it's not limited to working a specific business type or working for a specific compensation package, etc. It really encompasses a lot of different opportunities. And we have, some videos on our website. I've done a podcast episode as well to go over the different types of work camping jobs that are out there. And let me go ahead and I'm going to pop over to my internet browser just real quick here. And I just want to show you guys. So workamper.com, like I said, is our online home. This is what our site looks like. We are a membership-based organization. We're supported by both work campers and employer members. So we're not beholden to either side. Because our website is so robust and has so much going on, we send out millions of emails every month. We have a staff here that you can call and talk to, real people, answer your questions, things like that. So all of that has a lot of cost built in. So that's why there are fees for some of our upper level services for folks to utilize them. But we do have a lot to offer for free as well, like these webinars. But we also have a podcast that we do called the Workamper Show. This is workampershow.com. You can also, any podcast app that you use to listen to podcasts, just do a search for Workamper Show and you'll find us there in your podcast app and subscribe. We do publish weekly, and most of the episodes are interviews with RVers, Workampers, living the lifestyle, sharing about how they got into it, what they do, how they've made it work, or maybe something unique about their lifestyle. We also interview employers that are seeking to hire Workampers as well. So you'll see some of those mixed in. But one reason why I wanted to pop over here is episode 200. Myself and my husband, Luke, we outlined 200 different possible jobs for Workampers that we've seen over the years coming into our system. So I want you to not put yourself in a box and think, oh, I'm just going to be working in a campground and that's the only thing I can do as a Workamper. There are, lots of different outdoor hospitality businesses that hire Workampers, as well as restaurants, tour companies, food harvests, and Audubon societies, concessionaires of, government lands, and it's just all kinds of stuff that's out there. Luke and I spent a whole hour or so just talking about different possibilities. So anyway, I want you guys to find stuff that you love to do. So check that episode out, and I may reference the podcast another time or two as we're going through things. So, okay, that's just kind of an introduction to kind of get you guys started in the world of Workamping and Workamper news. So let's go back over to our PowerPoint here, and we'll start digging into your questions. All right, so this question was submitted here. How far ahead of time do jobs typically get posted? Very good question. And there is some seasonality to it. So while I said, there are all different business types and stuff that hire Workampers, the majority is still outdoor hospitality industry. And like that could be campgrounds, RV parks, state parks, county parks, government operations, as well as amusement park facilities, tour companies, things like that. So these places are typically have a busy summer season, and that's going to be April, May through September, October usually. So the larger volume of jobs are available in that period of time, just because those businesses are more open in the summer and a lot of them close in the winter. A lot of RVers like to go south in the winter, so it can be a little more challenging to find positions in the winter months in the south, just because of the quantity of people seeking those jobs. It's less jobs, more people kind of thing, but don't let me scare you away from that. It's not like it's not super competitive or whatever. If you are seeking like a job where you're paid for every hour worked and an RV site is included and there are other perks and stuff like that, that will be a little more challenging to find for the winter months in very ideal areas, but definitely not impossible. So as far as how far ahead of time, it does depend on the employer as well. So we know that Workampers in general like to plan ahead. So they're looking 6 months out, 10 months out, 12 months out sometimes. And so we encourage employers thus to get on board and get going with their recruiting ahead of time as well. So they're, more so interacting with a larger pool of applicants. So we see employers that are seeking summer season staff. They will start recruiting October, November, December, and then it really picks up in January and February. And that's going to be, again, for positions typically starting in April or May. Now, right now, we're in April, so a lot of positions are starting next month. And so currently, I think it's about 80% of the jobs that we have listed today on our hotline page are for summer season, so they're more of an immediate start position. Where when we move into, the summer, especially like June, July, August, that's when the summer season employers are like, oh my gosh, we need more help, or we had fallout, people had to leave or didn't show up or whatever, and so it's pretty. Like most of the job listings in the summer months are immediate need help. So that's to say, if you do want to kind of, fly by the seat of your pants a little more and not plan months ahead, that's a possibility too. There are positions, that either come available because Workampers leave, or just employers are slow on the ball to recruiting and they just get started a month before they need people to be there. It's really a variety of situations. So that's one of the reasons why Workamper News membership is yearly, because this job finding process is a year-round thing. You want to be connected and seeing the listings coming in all the time, because there is no, oh, for jobs starting in May, the jobs are advertised this time. Like, for a job starting in May, you could see a job listing in, the October before or the March right before that May. So it's really going to vary. And I know that's like, okay, that's super annoying that it's not more organized, but that's the way it is. Getting employers to, follow recommendations can be challenging sometimes. So we recommend, keeping your resume active year-round. Once you do solidify a position, update your resume and start advertising yourself for the next period of time that you are going to be available. Again, just keeping an eye on our daily hotline system. So with our hotline system, new job listings come in, we post them to our website, and we also send out a daily email. And in that email, it's the full job listing text. It's not truncated. You don't then have to go to our website and click 27 times to try to find the ad on our website to see what it actually says. We send you the whole thing in the email, so you can just scroll and check it out on your phone and see, what is new today that's coming out. So and especially, all right, so if you're looking for fall, winter, like I mentioned, there's, typically a little bit less quantity for that period of time. You'll see more of those positions coming up in the job listings during the summer months, oftentimes. And it is there's a little less of a winter season. It's not as, there aren't as many, and it's not as rigid, not like rigid, but anyway, sorry, I'm kind of rambling here, but fall, winter can be a little more interesting. There are some opportunities that are like shorter term in the fall, like the sugar beet harvest is like 20 days long, and that's in October, November. There are positions with Jackson Hewitt Tax Service. That's going to be like January to April. There's a couple rodeos in Texas that you can work, and so that's a shorter term thing. So fall, winter is a little, kind of, there are positions for like to handle the busy Christmas season, some retail positions and stuff. So fall, winter, you can kind of mix it up a little bit. It may not necessarily be, for fall, winter, I'm working, October through March. You might be able to plug in a couple different jobs in that time period, if that makes sense. But that's kind of the beauty of Workamping, is you get to kind of mix and match how you want. You can try out different jobs, try out different locations, try out different periods of time even, to see what you like the best. And that's pretty awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll keep on trucking, because I will just go on for days about this stuff. All right, next up here, should I apply for numerous jobs at the same time? You totally can. Let's see, I'm gonna pop back over to our internet browser, as I did go ahead and pull up an article. So goneworkamping.com, right now that's our blog website. We are working on a complete new version of workamper.com, and with that we're going to integrate the blog into the site. But for now, if you go to goneworkamping.com, that's our blog article website. Lots of good articles in here that we've shared on RVing as well as Workamping. But one article that we posted not too long ago here in March, so this is from the Henleys, that they wrote this article. They're seasonal work campers themselves, full-time RVers, been work camping for many years. And so they answered that question here in the article. So for them, their recommendation was they typically would look for positions like 6 months or so ahead of time. They would apply, they kind of pick their two favorites that they found, the two, opportunities that they liked the most. They would apply to their favorite one, wait to see if they heard back, and if they didn't hear anything back, then they'd, go for the second one. So they really would only apply to a couple positions at one time. And again, it was multiple months in advance, so they weren't under the gun, they weren't feeling any pressure. It was like, we'll apply here, see what they have to say. If that doesn't go through, then we'll move on to option number 2. But I also know some other Workampers that will apply to more like 10 or 15 different opportunities and kind of see what input they get back and who responds to them. So it really kind of depends on when you're doing this, what you're looking for. Once you get into it, try certain tactics for your job finding process and see how that works for you. If you find it's not working for you, then you can change things up. You may want to plan months in advance, give yourself plenty of time for the interview process, communication back and forth, or you might be someone who's like, I want to apply to one place, and if they get back to me, I want to start in a month, and let's just get this done and get this going. So you can play it, a few different ways if you like, but I would go ahead and apply to a couple different ones, especially maybe if you're new to work camping. That's going to give you more opportunity to get experience with the application process, the communication process with employers. Every employer is going to do things a little bit differently. Some employers, you may be, doing some communication by email and then hopefully having a conversation with the owner or the manager or whatever, be it a phone call or maybe an online call. Or you might be applying with a larger entity where they have like an online application process and you do quite a few things online. You have an interview with a person who works in HR for them, but that's not somebody you're going to be working with on the job, So the application process and kind of how that goes is going to vary based on how the employer does things. Some employers are going to have a great system in place as far as applying, interviewing, accepting the position, and moving in to start the position. And with other employers, it's not going to be as good. Just like, it's just a variation in people and processes. So we'll talk a little bit more kind of about the application process and kind of how things work as we move along. Again, I don't want to get too bogged down on one topic here, but this is one Workamper's opinion, in this article here on the blog. But like I said, apply for a few, and it's going to also depend on what you're looking for and where you want to go. There may not be multiple positions in the area you want to be, or the type of job that you want to have, or the compensation that you need. So your personal factors may also limit how many opportunities that you want to apply to. But one thing that I definitely recommend, once you do apply for a position, make sure to follow up. Some employers are great at responding quickly and just responding at all. Some employers won't respond at all, and that's super frustrating, but that's just kind of how it goes. Employers also get annoyed because they contact Workampers' resumes and then they don't hear from the Workampers. So it's on both sides. So definitely, yeah, follow up. If the process is that you sent them an email especially can be a little tricky. Emails end up in spam or junk folders, or sometimes completely blocked by the recipient's email provider, and that can be super frustrating. So if you sent them an email, send another email to follow up and see if they received, your emailed resume or whatnot. If it was an online application process, you can try to find an email address or a phone number to follow up with to ensure that that was received. And I would give them a little bit of time. If you are working months in advance, you can give them a little more breathing room, maybe a couple weeks to get back to you. If it's a closer to start position, starting immediately or like next month, you might wait a business day or two at the most, because you want to be, getting going on that process if it is a soon to start job. So little flexibility in there. If the employer has included a phone number with their ad, I certainly wouldn't hesitate to use the phone to contact them. If they haven't included a phone number, I would definitely, try the contact points in the ad text first before, interneting to try to find other contact points for that employer. But if it is a position that you're really passionate about and excited about, try multiple points of contact to get their attention and get you hired. You could even do some snail mail. Like I said, if it's a position that's kind of far out and it's maybe more of a smaller mom and pop kind of operation, send them a postcard or send them a cool little resume package or something in the mail and just kind of try to wow them that way and surprise them. So kind of some other just different tactics that you guys can try as you're out there looking for that right work camping position. Okay, moving on here. Is there a website for workers to post resumes? Someone else asked, how do I upload a resume? So yes, you are in the right place. That is a great question. Of course, on our website, workamper.com, you can do that. If there are other websites out, I'm not sure. There are other, websites that have been created since we started ours. And I think a few of them may have some kind of resume thing as well. But again, the activity on those websites is just not going to be as heavy as it is here on our site. So workamper.com, you can join. If you guys want to try it out, we have a free 30-day trial of our diamond level membership, which is our middle tier membership that provides you with the resume builder tool. And if you scroll down this page, you guys can see our 3 different membership levels. So the diamond is going to be the best if you are just getting started into work camping or you are recently started work camping. That diamond level is going to be best. If you are a work camper and you've had multiple positions that you've already completed and you would like to have us verify work history on your resume to kind of put little shining stars on your resume, that's where the platinum level comes in. So if you don't have multiple positions already completed, you don't need that platinum level, go with the diamond. That's going to be the best for you. If you're years away from work camping but really want to dig into a lot more videos, some online courses, etc., that's where the gold level comes in. It's really mostly about the education. But anyway, you can try the diamond level free for 30 days. It's at the end of the 30-day trial. It will auto renew if you don't turn off auto renew, but it's super easy to turn off the auto renew. But once you join, you can then log in. So once you join, then you'll click to log in. When you when the website logs you in, it takes you here to the dashboard page. The dashboard page is the jumping off point to all the main tools of membership. You can get to the dashboard page anytime by clicking on this dashboard link in the top right of the website. If you're on a phone or a tablet, there's the little hamburger menu, the little square menu, and you'll tap on that to see kind of the main menu options, and you'll find the dashboard option there. Okay, so on the dashboard page, we have in the top row, we have Hotline Jobs and Online Magazine. The Hotline Jobs page, that's where you'll see all the most currently posted ads. All of these ads were posted within the last 14 days, and we always include the date that it was posted so you know how recent this ad is. You're not wondering, was this posted a month ago, a year ago, 3 years ago, whatever. These are all very current opportunities. So the Hotline Jobs page, you can go multiple different ways. You can select multiple states. You can look for positions that provide an RV site, positions that provide housing, which we'll talk a little bit more about, positions that pay all hours, or if you're only looking to trade for an RV site, you can look at positions that have no monetary compensation. If you're a solo, you can look for positions that will consider solos for the jobs to, again, just trying to make things even easier. When do you want to start your job? Pick the month that you're available. Lots of different criteria here that you can search on. And when we launch the new version of the site, there's going to be even more. Okay, so that's the hotline page. I just wanted to touch on that. The online magazine, it's an archive of our magazine. We published a magazine for 36 years, but y'all got tired of looking at it, and it got way too expensive to make. So we discontinued it in 2022. but the whole archive is on there. Each issue of the magazine has job listings in it as well as articles and stuff. So it's still a really good resource. The third button here is what we're getting to, Resume Builder. So when we click on Resume Builder, it's a step-by-step process that takes you through building a Workamper resume. It's essentially kind of fill in the blank. There is one section where you type in whatever you want to type in, but don't worry, we have this View Sample button here on the page, and when you click on View Sample, it opens up a sample that you can model off of. So we tried to make this easy for y'all. I know some of you guys haven't made a resume in a long time, and a resume for Workamping doesn't have to be as official as like a professional or career resume. You really just need to highlight your skills and what you bring to the table for the employer. They don't necessarily need to know your full educational background and, you know, all that kind of stuff that you might see in a typical resume. So definitely, yeah, use this resume builder, go through the different sections, put in your contact information, your availability date, the season you're interested in working in, what types of businesses you're interested in working for, preferred salary, benefits, work schedule. Select the states that you are interested in being in on your availability date. So if your availability date is November 1st, if you don't want to be in Alaska in the winter, don't select Alaska. Like maybe you do want to go to Alaska someday, but only select the states that you want to be in starting on your availability date for the next season that you're looking for, okay? In the history section, you can list past Workamping jobs or past other jobs that you've had. If you like, it doesn't just have to be Workamping jobs. I would recommend not building in every single job that you've had since you were 14, especially if it's been quite a few, as you don't want to put so much text in there that it's like too overwhelming for the employer to even look at. So that's why we encourage just including Workamping jobs here, but like I said, it's your resume, you can do what you want. Sell yourself section, you're going to highlight your skills and that kind of stuff. You can put photos on if you want. You don't have to put photos if you don't want. A lot of employers like to have photos come in with the resume just because it's not very likely that you are going to be going and meeting that employer in person to interview for the job. So if you don't include photos with your resume, you may expect to be required to interview then in person, or at least do one of these like, you know, web calls or like a FaceTime call on the phone, something like that, just so the employer can see who you are as a person and how you speak and how you move and things like that. You can also put a video on your resume if you want. So create a little icebreaker video saying how awesome you are and how cool you are, and put that on your YouTube channel, and then you can put the link to that video in here, and we will take all of the data that you input all into those different sections and compile it into a nice looking resume. We do have employer members. They find all of their work campers just by going into our resume database and searching the resume database. They will not advertise their jobs just because they can find everyone they need in the resume database. So that's why job finding is kind of a two-prong approach. You want to be looking at the job listings and interacting and staying up to date with what's coming in, what is being posted, but you also want to be selling yourself with the resume tool. So that way you're connecting with as many employers as possible out there. So once you have your resume created, as long as you've updated it within the last 6 months, it can be available in our database. You can also use the buttons on the side here to print out a copy, to email your resume to anybody you want. You can also save it as a PDF file because maybe you're doing an online application process and there's a section where you can upload your resume, or you can export your resume as a PDF file, then go into your own email inbox, create a new email, create that email to the employer, attach your resume as a PDF, and send it that way. So multiple ways to use your resume to get it out to employers. So yeah, we definitely recommend the resume builder tool here. And if you guys have any questions or anything, definitely let us know. There is not a way for you, like if you've made your resume in like a text edit program or a Canva type program or something like that, there's not a way for you to just upload that into the system because the different fields in the resume builder are the search fields that the employers have in their resume search tool. So if all you uploaded was a document or a picture, even, like, the tool can't search what's in a picture. You know, if you have your skills listed and your contact, like, it can't search that. So that's why you have to fill out these different fields, so that way your resume shows up when the employer is searching and using those search criteria fields. So I know it can be a little frustrating because you're like, well, I really like my other resume. That's cool, but sorry, you got to use the format that's here in the builder. That's going to get you connected to more employers that way. So there is our resume tool, you guys. Like I said, with that free diamond trial, you can check it out free for 30 days and, you know, give it all a whirl and see what you think. But $47 is the diamond membership for 1 year. Really not too big of a to-do. It's, like I said, it's a year long, and that's just one of this list of tools and resources that's available to you with membership. Okay, next up, let's talk about solos. Alrighty, so solos can be a singular human traveling by themselves, or a solo work camper might be a singular human traveling with multiple other humans in their RV, but only that one singular human wants to take the job, and that's cool. So from our system, because we ask every advertising employer, will you consider solos for your positions, and they have to answer yes or no, I can tell you that over 75% of the job listings that we see will consider solos. So I know a lot of times on social media and other avenues, folks are like, all the jobs are for couples, all the jobs are for couples, it's so hard to find a job as a solo. It's like, well, what resources are you using? How are you marketing yourself? What's your resume look like? How many are you applying to? What are your personal qualifications? Like, there are a lot of factors at play there. But we know many successful solos who have jobs lined up and don't have trouble finding a position. So it can be done, guys. And so if you are, you know, multiple humans traveling together, but only one of you want to apply to do the work camping job, no worries. Definitely make that clear in your resume or in the, you know, hiring process. You want to make sure that that employer knows that there are other humans in your RV with you. The same goes for pets and animals. Let's see, have solos teamed up to work as a couple, like for gate guarding especially? How could this be done? Yeah, I think it occurs here and there. It's going to depend on the employer and kind of their facilities. So if you are two solos and you're wanting to team up, but you both want to bring your rigs to the employer, if you are anticipating getting 2 RV sites, that's not necessarily going to work out as well. Oftentimes, if an employer is specifically saying we're seeking a couple and they're providing an RV site, their assumption is that that couple will be on one RV site. So with some employers, that situation may not work. In some situations, maybe both of your RVs could fit on one RV site. Whether or not you can handle, like, that's enough electricity from the one power pedestal for both rigs. So there might be some possibility there. If you are 2 solos, you're willing to team up and stay in the same RV, then you are acting as more of a traditional couple, and that would be more, you know, acceptable in a lot of places. Again, it's going to depend on the employer's, like, RV site availability. You know, if they only have a couple RV sites and they need a certain number of work campers, you know, they may not be able to accommodate different setups. As far as gate guarding specifically, and for those of you who haven't heard of that before, there are some oil companies that hire RVers to post up at the gates of, like, oil drilling properties, and you are there to, you know, whenever somebody comes up to the gate to come in, you go out, check them in, annotate stuff, they go in. When somebody wants to come off the property, you go out, who are you, what are you doing, now you're leaving, okay, and you annotate that they're leaving, and you're basically, you know, gate security. And So in that case, basically they need somebody there all the time. So that's why most gate guarding positions require at least 2 people. Now, whether or not 2 RVs can be set up at a gate, again, that you'll have to talk to the gate guard company itself to see. They may have some locations where that would work just fine. They may have some locations where they don't have the resources for that. As far as connecting with other solos to try to team up and be a couple, I would just lean on social media for that avenue. That's really kind of the quickest way. There are a lot of work camping related groups, especially on Facebook. There are a few RVer forums still out there on the internet. So on our website, workamper.com, we have what's called the member map. And as a member, you can go in and put your location in and have your PIN be in the map. And you can use this to find, other work campers around you. So if you are a solo looking to connect with other solos, you can kind of click on some pins to try to find other solos that might be near you to connect with as well. So that's a community tool to tap into. You may also meet fellow RVers at different RV rallies or RV events that take place around the country by multiple organizations. So a few different avenues to kind of connect with other RVers out there to potentially team up. Okay, next up here. All right, folks are asking, what if you don't have an RV, or I want to be a work camper, but I don't have an RV yet? Can I still apply to jobs, or should I wait until I have my RV? So 2 little bit different questions here, but pretty similar. If you don't have an RV, there are still opportunities out there that provide housing. So like I kind of showed you real quick on the Hotline Jobs page, we ask employers when they're submitting their ad if they have other housing either available as part of the compensation or available for a fee. And so what we see with job listings is that about 10 to 13% indicate that housing is available. So it's a few, but it's not a majority. That housing could be dormitory style. It could be an apartment or a house on site. It could be an RV that's on site. So the type of housing may vary. Whether or not pets are acceptable in that housing is definitely going to be a wild card. More often than not, probably no, but we will have on the new version of the website, we're going to have a pets search option. So that will be in there as well. So a little bit harder if you are traveling with a pet and are seeking housing, but not impossible. And let's see what else. Sorry, I lost my train of thought, guys. Okay. So anyway, not a lot of positions that are out there for housing, but a possibility. Most employers are anticipating that you will be coming in an RV where you can handle all your human stuff. So, you can handle things like showering, bathing, having food that doesn't spoil, cooking, preparing food, staying warm if it's cold out, staying cool if it's hot out, staying dry if it's raining, the wind is blowing, etc. They just want their work campers to be safe and comfortable and happy so they can focus on being in the area, doing the job, etc. So some employers will have facilities like shower houses, bath houses, laundry facilities, etc., that the work campers can use, and some will not. So if you are, car camping or tenter or pop-up or something like that, there can be some limitations depending upon the facilities that the employer has available. So gonna vary. You'll have to just put some feelers out there. If you are planning to get an RV, but you don't have it yet, do you have a general idea of what type of RV you're going to have? A lot of folks are like, well, I know I'm looking for a Class C, it's going to be under 30 feet, or I definitely want a travel trailer, of a certain size. Like if you kind of have that narrowed down, you can let the employer know that that's what your situation is. Like, I plan to have my RV, and this is the type of RV that I plan to have, so would that be RVs. So that would be a good time to see if there are any restrictions or limitations that employer might have, whether it be, you know, they may only be able to accept certain lengths of RVs. It could be that to get to that job site, you may need to go under certain bridges that are of a certain height. So it could be that the RV might be too tall. So like travel trailers are typically going to be the shortest. Class B vans, of course, are going to be the shortest in height. If you're looking at a fifth wheel or a Class C, Class A, you're going to be, you know, probably over 12 feet tall for sure. So, you know, the height restriction may come into a play occasionally. That's not typically an issue, but there are some positions with the route that you have to go under, like there's a certain area of Glacier National Park, you have to go under a railroad bridge. And, you know, or you go like completely all the way around the park and have to come. So anyways, those are a couple factors to think about, but I would go ahead and apply and, you know, throw things out there and see what sticks. And hopefully, you know, if you try to have that RV, if you say you're going to have that RV for the job start date, definitely do what you can to have that RV by the time the job starts, or definitely make sure they have some housing available for you as a plan B if it's not going to work out. So yeah, some extra planning there, but I would say, you know, go for it, especially if you are going to be applying for positions that are starting, you know, 6 or 10 months out. Okay, following on the RV trend here. Is there an age limit for RVs? At a few places, but it's not a huge factor. I would, if you haven't acquired your RV yet, don't think I need to get a certain whatever RV in order to be a work camper. You need to get the RV for you, one that works with your budget, one that you are physically comfortable driving, maintaining, handling, etc. You know, you need to like things about the inside and the layout that's on the inside. So don't think that you need to get a specific type or a specific length or specific age. Find the RV that works for you. Go after the opportunities that you think will be a match for you. And if it comes out that, oh, your RV age doesn't qualify or whatever, then you know that wasn't the right opportunity for you, and let's move on and find the one that is right for you. So there will be some, and it's going to be more so RV parks or RV resorts, ones that call themselves resorts, that may have that kind of restriction. And sometimes they will just advertise that there is like a 10-year rule on RVs, but oftentimes once you send the picture of your RV, like, hey, my RV is 15 years old, but here's what it looks like, they might be like, oh yeah, you're fine. Like the rules in place to keep out, you know, the RVs that are held together with duct tape, and, you know, even if it's with love, if it is in a commercial RV park, resort, whatever, they may have some, you know, the RVs are there for all to see, and so they may have, you know, some cosmetic preferences, and it's their business, so they get to determine what those preferences are. So again, oftentimes there may be that rule, you might be able to float through it, or it may come into play depending upon your RV. All right, next up. Do employers care if you are a part-time RVer versus a full-time RVer? And so I took this question as a part-time RVer is someone who they keep their sticks and bricks house, and so they travel in their RV part of the year, not the whole year necessarily. Full-time RVer is someone who doesn't have a home base anymore. They've sold their sticks and bricks and their RV is their sole home. Or they still have a sticks and bricks house, but it's a rental now. Technically they own it, but now it's more of kind of a small business side gig. Maybe someday they'll go back to it if they feel like it, but they're living on the road year round in their RV. You know, that's your full-time RVer. So that's how I'm taking those definitions in this question. So no, I don't think it's really a factor. Especially if it's a seasonal position, you know, as long as you are going to fulfill the commitment that you have agreed to, they're like, great, you can do the job and you're going to be here when you say you're going to be here, all systems are go. So it really shouldn't be a factor. If you are looking at like a long-term position, you know, there are some operations that are open year-round. So if you go and work for them and you want to stay there year-round, they'll probably be super stoked about that because it's less work for them to try to continuously find employees. In that case, if you're a part-time RVer, maybe they would see that as a very slight con because, like, well, we hired you to be long-term, but you have this house that you may decide you want to go back to at some point. So that might be a thought in their mind. But again, if you say you're going to commit and you do it, awesome, you know? So ultimately, just be someone of integrity, you know? Advertise your true abilities. Don't say you can do things that you can't. Don't commit to a job that you don't really want to do. If you do commit to an opportunity and then change your mind or something comes up and you can't go, communicate with that employer as soon as possible to let them know, okay? It's really just, employers are just looking for folks of integrity. All right, we're kind of leading into some questions here, kind of moving right into this topic. So here's a question that came in. Is it okay to just come out and say what you won't do? This person doesn't want a housekeeping or maintenance type of position. They want to work in an office. So yes, definitely. So first things first, again, kind of like we talked about way at the beginning, Workamping is doing any kind of work while living in an RV. So don't think I have to work in a campground. If you want to work in a campground, cool, that can be super fun if that's for you. But understand there are definitely other types of positions that are out there. So if you don't want a housekeeping or a maintenance type position, don't apply for those jobs, first off. So then you don't even have to have that conversation of, oh, I won't do that. But one question that every work camper should ask when they're interviewing is, you want to get like a full rundown of what your expected duties are. And then if it isn't already offered, definitely ask, will I be expected to fill in other departments or in other positions? Like if there was an emergency or an unusual situation arose or whatever, will I be expected to cross-train or fill in sometimes? And just find that out. Because that may be a deal breaker for you or not. It's going to depend. So, but definitely ask that kind of question so you'll know for sure. And if you're not physically capable of doing housekeeping or doing maintenance, if you can't be on your feet for long periods of time, if you can't bend and stoop or whatever, definitely let the employer know that you may have some limitations, but understand, but I will be a rock star with your customers. Whenever they come in and come into the office, I'm going to greet them and make sure that they get the best service, and I will try to fulfill their needs as best as possible. So understand that I can't fulfill your needs in this way, but here's what I can do for you that's going to improve your business. Okay, so you can kind of let it out what you can't do or don't want to do, but counterbalance that with here's what I will be awesome at, kind of thing, because employers understand, work campers come in all shapes and sizes and ages and backgrounds and all kinds of stuff. So there are certainly going to be things that you don't want to do, you aren't physically capable of, things that you may want to try to learn, but then decide, oh, this is not for me, so it's going to be a learning experience. And oftentimes employers are willing to train. You don't necessarily have to have specific kind of experience under your belt. But you do want to think about, what you've done in your past and what skills that gave you that could apply to the different types of positions that you are interested in trying out. And don't just think about what you've done in your career life, but also just think about, your home life. If you've, had kids and a family, like what did you do with the kids? Were you a coach? Did you, do stuff in your church? Were you a leader there in your community? Were you the treasurer of a book club? Or, there's lots of different things maybe you've done in your past that give you a few skills that could apply to working in a campground office or selling tickets at the IMAX theater in Yellowstone or giving tours at a fish hatchery in Oregon, different kinds of things. So yeah, definitely don't be afraid to, you know, say what you want to do or don't want to do. And again, don't apply for positions that you're not interested in doing. And another little caveat as well. So there is a term in work camping, camp host. Now, different people have different definitions as to what a camp host is and does. So if you see the term camp host and even the term maintenance, I would definitely contact that employer for clarification as to what duties they think are included under that title. Camp hosting in one place might just be you're escorting an RVer to their RV site, greeting them, making sure they're good to go, maybe picking up some trash along the way, and just kind of being a friendly face around the park. But a camp host to a different employer might be like, you work in the office, you make reservations, you check people in, you help people to their RV site, you do minor maintenance on the RV site if the electric pedestal doesn't work or the water spigot isn't working right, and then you clean the RV site when they leave, and you clean the office, and you clean the bathrooms, and you lock up it, you know, it's going to vary. So when you see, you know, terms for different positions, don't just assume it's a certain set of criteria. You know, there are going to be some typical duties at campgrounds and stuff, but how employers categorize those into the different positions may vary. So be careful with making assumptions. And the same with maintenance. Maintenance could be, you know, some light stuff, maybe some mowing, a little bit of painting here or there, spiffing up some flower beds, or it could be digging water trenches and running electrical, building a new shed on the property, you know, and even more in-depth kind of stuff like that. So it's definitely going to vary. So make sure to get as much info as you can. Okay, here's another question kind of on the similar topic here. This person says that we do not want to work on Sundays. Is that a feasible request or a common request? As far as being common, I'm not really sure. We at Workamper News, we're not an agency. We're not like placing people in jobs. So we don't know all the details of every job. We don't know every, you know, detail of the work campers that are seeking the jobs. So I don't know how often this is requested. It might be a feasible request, it might not. It's going, again, to depend on that employer. And the type of business that it is. If the weekends are their busiest time, it might be harder to get Sundays off, or maybe you would only work a half day on Sunday if you could come to a compromise. If it's an operation where there are a smaller number of work campers, then there is less flexibility with the schedule. They're going to need you when they need you. So you may want to look for an operation that's a little bit larger, has a wider number, a bigger staff, so that way the schedule can be varied up a little more. Or, you know, maybe there are some operations where you don't work. The operation itself is closed on Sundays. You know, that could be possible. So, and there are, I guess this is kind of the opposite of that, but there is an organization that hires work campers to be, you know, pastors at RV parks, leading church services, leading Bible studies, etc. So that could be your work camping job, is working for that organization that provides those services to different RV parks and stuff. So you're definitely working on Sunday, but maybe you're doing the work that fulfills you in that regard. So also there are opportunities where the work is more flexible and not location based. So in that regard, I'm thinking of the entities that hire work campers to sell campground map advertising. And there's usually more to it than that, but you're basically traveling to different areas. You go to a campground, you go to the different businesses around town to sell advertising to those businesses, and that's your job. And in that regard, you're making your own schedule kind of thing. ID Plans is another entity. They do like schematics of buildings, I guess is kind of a simple way to do that. So as RVers, you would go to this building. Typically it's going to be shopping malls, and you do the measuring and some technical stuff to create schematics using some software and stuff that
is then sent to whoever ordered it to be done. And in that regard, there is like a specific time frame that you're working in, but you might be able to not do it on Sundays because, you know, there's flexibility. As long as you get the job done by a certain date, you know, you would be good to go. Also, you know, running your own business on the road, whether it's maybe you are a mobile RV technician or a bookkeeper, accountant type thing, some other kind of consultant, therapist, you know, hairstyling, dog grooming, what else? I mean, all kinds of different things, making crafts, selling Tupperwares and essential oils, all kinds of cool stuff like that. So maybe you're operating a small business on the road, and so your schedule is totally your own. So yeah, definitely. But ultimately, you guys, if you have some specifications, like I don't want to work on Sundays, or my satellite TV is super important to me because I love watching XYZ and I can't be without it. So I need to have an RV site where I for sure have satellite connection, or I have to be in an area where we have a really good cell service because my spouse works in internet business and have to have internet. If there are some, you know, real qualifications that you guys have like that, that's definitely something to bring up in the interview process, just to make sure that those needs can be met or not. And then you know ahead of time. Again, the less surprises to be encountered leads to more success. So asking a lot of questions and getting all of that information ahead of time is definitely something we recommend. And on that note, let's pop back over real quick. I just want to show you guys another article. So we're going to go back to goneworkamping.com, and you can come up here, the little magnifying glass in the top. If you click on that, you can keyword search for articles. So you can search for like interview, towing, math, some other things. Search for whatever you want. But we have this one article here called Questions to Ask Workamper Employers to Enhance Expectations. And so here is a list of some questions you can ask. And again, go through the list. These aren't necessarily all questions you should ask. Pull out the ones that are definitely pertinent to you guys. We just wanted to give you a nice big list to consider, ponder, think about. Lots of good stuff in here, as you can see. So that's definitely a good article to check out at the goneworkamping.com blog. Okay, let's see what's next in the questions here. We're getting closer, and I see a few of you guys have asked some questions too. Okie dokie. This person asked this question. Not 100% understanding this question. In looking at job postings, this person has seen the spectrum from FHU, which is full hookup, to percentage equations suggesting trust us to figure your compensation based on you pay full price and we reimburse you according to these percentages. It seems like a ripoff, true or false. So I thought about this for a while and asked my team what they thought of this question. We would really need an example of the ad that this person saw with this kind of, I've never seen anything that sounds like this type of compensation package. So I can't really speak to this exact thing. Again, like I said, I'd have to see the ad and what the ad said. If you saw something about reimbursing you via certain percentages. So I just thought I would talk in general about different types of compensation that we've seen with Workamping jobs. So there really is quite a spectrum. So as we noted just a bit ago, you could run your own small business on the road. That's going to be a whole thing on its own. You know, the income that you generate is based on your action and your work and what you're doing. Operating a small business on the road can also provide some tax savings depending upon how you have things set up and how you're doing things. So that's kind of its own little pile separate over here. With typical Workamping jobs where you are going somewhere to work for an employer, there's going to be trade out for RV site and perks only, all the way up to we're going to pay you for every hour worked. We're going to provide you an RV site. We're going to give you 401k and health insurance and paid time off and stuff like that. So, and kind of everything in between. So In opportunities where you are working just in trade for an RV site, typically it's the site. Utilities are going to be included, water, sewer, electric. Sometimes that could include cable TV, maybe internet as well, depends on the location and the employer. So in that situation, you likely will not have income reported to you, like the value of that RV site most likely will not be reported as income. And so thus it's, that tax-wise, that may be what you're looking for. You may just, those are typically less hour worked positions as well. So if you're looking for a lighter workload, that's going to be in that realm. So pros and cons to that, depending upon what your individual needs are. There are opportunities where you will work X number of hours per week in trade for the RV site. Any hours over that will be paid X number of dollars per hour. That's another setup. And so the hours worked for the RV site, again, federally, those shouldn't necessarily, like the value of the RV site shouldn't be factored in as income to you. In that case, the income would be whatever paid wages you received. That's federal, not state. States have all different kind of income rules and regulations, but federally, we have more IRS specifics on that as far as trade out for site or housing. Anyway, so that might be a package, or again, the upper level, we're going to pay you for every hour worked, and we're going to give you an RV site and whatever other perks. Other perks that I've seen employers offer are, electricity is covered, internet is covered, you have access to laundry machines, or maybe they give you a stipend for laundry usage, free propane, discounts on propane, discounts on stuff in a store if it's like a campground with a store. If it's there's a restaurant on site, maybe you get free meals or discounted meals. Use of amenities. So, different resorts will have different things going on, whether it be activities and crafts and games and potlucks and I don't know, stuff like that, or places that have rental things like rental kayaks or rental golf carts or rental other fun stuff to play with. Some places may give you discounts on things in the local area. So lots of different perks that employers have come up with over the years to provide to their work campers. And all of those things have a value that you are receiving. So even if you see an ad and they're listing that the wage is $15 an hour, but they're also giving you all these other things too, all of that factors in. So if you're like, oh, $12 an hour, that's BS. Okay, well, but what else are they giving you? If they're only paying you $12 an hour and you have to go find your own RV site and everything else, that's a different story. But if they're paying you $12 an hour and they're giving you an RV site and oh, and there's season and bonus as well, all of that is factoring into that hourly wage. So you're not actually being paid $12 an hour. The value that you're receiving could be upwards of $20 an hour or something like that. Again, it's totally going to depend. So yeah, lots to factor in. There are other positions where you will work every hour you work, you will be paid a wage, but you have to pay a fee for your RV site. That's a situation like concessionaires that operate in national parks, Delaware North, for example, Yellowstone General Stores. Delaware North leases RV sites from the National Park Service, so they pass a little bit of that cost onto the work camper. So the work camper pays, I think, $70 a week for an RV site inside of Yellowstone National Park, full hookups, like that's a steal. So yes, there's a fee to pay for the RV site, but sometimes in that situation, it's a pretty minimal fee. Some employers, you will pay the normal customer rate for camping. Again, this is all up to you. You got to learn all of the details, determine what the actual value is of the compensation package that you're receiving, and then know if it's going to be right for you or not. There are some opportunities that are out there that might be not as good as others. That's relative, but it's up to the work camper to determine. And it also depends on the job itself. So kind of how we talked about before, camp host. Is the camp host job you're hanging out in a gatehouse and like waving at people as they come and go, and you may have to answer 10 questions in the 5 hours that you worked that day. And the rest of the time you just kind of read your book, looked at your phone, and enjoyed the nature, outside the gatehouse. Or is the camp house job, you're doing all the stuff in their office, and then you're going outside and you're running around with campers and escorting people, and then you're going to the bathhouse and you're cleaning the bathhouse and you're doing all that. Like, one job obviously has a lot more. You're going, more duties, more responsibilities, more work. The other, it sounds kind of cushy, right? So I feel that those two positions are probably going to be compensated differently, and that's okay. So again, you can't always judge a book by its cover as you see, job listings being posted, because some job listings are so short and don't give you very much information. It's really hard to tell right off the bat. So oftentimes it takes a little more prodding and pushing and interviewing time with that employer to get those details to determine what the package actually is. And there are some positions out there, some employers, they do not have RV sites or housing available, and it'll be up to the Workamper to find their own accommodations. So that's a thing as well. Not very often, but occasionally. All right, I'm back over to the blog, you guys. I want to show you all this article, Doing the Math on a Workamper Job. So we went a little more in depth on some of the different compensation packages that we just talked about, and kind of the equations you can use to, again, determine what the value is of what you're going to be receiving. So we talk about bonuses, again, we talk about perks, tax consideration, what is it worth for you? And then down here at the bottom, we also have this PDF download, and it's a worksheet that you can use, kind of a fill in the blank as you're learning about a work camping opportunity to help you with, just doing the math. Some people like to write things out and stuff. So we made a little worksheet to help you guys with that. So on the Gone Workamping blog, it's called Doing the Math on a Workamping Job. This article is also in the article index at workamper.com if you're already over there poking around. So definitely check that out. This is an important step in the job finding process, is actually doing the math. And you're going to see on social media there are some folks that feel very strongly that specific compensation, that it's only fair if an employer pays for all hours worked and provides an RV site. They think that's the only type of compensation that should be available to all work campers, and if an employer provides anything different, they are being unfair. So you'll see those kinds of comments. My advice to you is don't let other people's input like that sway you. If you are looking at an opportunity and it sounds good to you, dig in, get more information so you can fully get the picture and say, yeah, this sounds good, or no way, Jose, That's the cool thing about work camping is the variety. I think that's cool anyway. Okay, next up here, lots of questions, guys, sorry, it's gonna be a long one. Okay, this person has a dog, and he is the biggest concern that this person has in doing work camping jobs. Are there jobs that will allow me to bring him with me? There might be a few. It's certainly going to depend on the employer. You'll have to ask, et cetera, you know the spiel. Oh, there goes my cat. Say hi, kitty. All right, she's tired of listening, I guess. Okay, or she heard me talk about dog and she was like, I'm out of here, no dogs. Okay, so and just thinking about the different opportunities that are out there. So say you want to go work for Adventureland Amusement Park in Iowa. You're not in that environment. They're not going to let you bring your dog with you to work. I mean, okay, exception, service animal. Obviously, there are certain rules and exceptions that service animals have. So we're just talking about, my best friend Fuzzy over here, not a service dog that helps me keep from having seizures or, any of those kinds of things that service dogs help with. So this is just the pet category. Dog, cat, parrot, whatever. I've never seen anybody bring it. Well, anyway, okay. So there might be some, but like I said, bigger entities, amusement parks, I could see that not being okay. Back to the Yellowstone general stores, not likely going to happen, especially those facilities are food facilities. So if it's a place that serves food, it's probably even less likely that that would be okay, because those places have to follow, the health guidelines that the state sets and stuff like that. But maybe like a mom and pop campground that has 20 sites in some, nice location and it's kind of low key, it probably would be okay for you to have your dog in the office, especially if your dog is one that doesn't bark at everything that moves or has to jump on everybody, so it might depend on the operation and the animal itself. So hopefully your dog is one that's maybe a little more well trained, and while most dogs love everybody, not everybody loves dogs. So sometimes it could be a liability for the business owner. So there probably might be a few that you could bring him with you, but the majority probably not. Again, you'll just have to ask, and it's going to depend on the employer's insurance and whatnot, but it can't hurt to ask. Alrighty. This question came in regarding the employee RV sites at Grant Village. What's the general location of power pedestal relative to the RV as parked? These kinds of questions that are specific to a specific employer need to be addressed to that specific employer. So us here at Workamper News, like I said, we're not an agency, so we don't know all of the ins and outs of every employer, every job. We have thousands of employer members that advertise thousands of different jobs. So we don't know what RV sites look like, what housing looks like, what the job duties are for each job, etc. So whatever specific things you need to know about a specific opportunity, direct those to the employer, whether, email, phone, they may have like a submission on their website, or contact them on Facebook, like whatever communication portals they have set up, direct those kinds of questions to the employer. All right, we are getting into our last couple questions here, guys, that were submitted ahead of time. How do we have family medical care? Well, okay, sorry, my brain just went, hey, back to this question real quick. So bloop, rewind. Also, questions like this, you might use, an online forum, a Facebook group or whatever to pose this kind of question to the work camping community in general, to connect with other work campers that may have worked at this Grant Village place. I believe that's in Yellowstone. So that's another avenue you could go to. I myself would go to the employer, because you want, the information from the employer specifically, but there might be some stuff that could be answered by work campers who have worked there before, like, oh, what are the best places to eat? Or, what was the weather like? Or what was your RV site really like? Because especially with like Yellowstone General Stores, or another concessionaire company where they operate in multiple different campgrounds in multiple different states, like the HR person that you talk to probably doesn't know what the RV site looks like at XYZ campground in the middle of XYZ forest in Oregon, So in those cases, you may want a boots on the ground answer. So like I said, those Facebook groups would be good for that, or going back to the member map. You could zoom into the Grant Village location on the member map, see if there are any work camper pins there, click on it and see if you can contact those work campers and ask them. Okay, all right, I think that's it on that one. All right, okay, next up here, how do we have family medical care when traveling from state to state? Definitely a question that full-time RVers ponder. What do I do? And so I direct folks to the experts. I am not an insurance person. People start saying details about insurance and it kind of makes my brain melt. I can talk about this work camping thing all day, but whew, deductible and comprehensive and blah, blah. I'm like, ugh, God. Okay, so Nomad Insurance is operated by Kyle Henson. He's been a full-time RVer for a long time himself, an insurance broker. He has lots of good input on the different plans and stuff that are available out there. He also helped create this program called Healthy Nomads, and it's like a cost sharing kind of healthcare program, but they have telehealth available. That's part of the package, and some other features as well. So there are services like this that are out there that you can get involved with. these programs that may have enough services that meet your needs. You know, telehealth may be all that you need. I know other RVers will, you still have to, even if you're a full-time RVer, you still have to pick a domicile state that's going to, you know, be where your residence is, where your driver's license is, where you're registered to vote, where you register your vehicles, that kind of fun stuff. So you may have a plan that's based around the domicile state, and it could be that that is where your primary doctors are. And so some folks will once a year go back to wherever their, you know, home base, their domicile is, and do some normal doctor's appointments, and then, you know, go about on the rest of the year. It's really going to depend on what your needs are and your health status overall. If you're someone who, you know, needs to frequently be checking in with a doctor or visiting certain, you know, types of specialists, things like that, it may be a little more challenging to find the right network, but it's definitely doable. You know, most states have similar type specialists and offices. How far away it is from your work location is something that is going to vary, and that may be then questions that will be very important to you when researching an opportunity. How close is this location to these certain health things, medical things that I know that I need? So definitely something to yourselves personally look at and understand what your needs and wants are, and then check out programs like Healthy Nomads, or visit nomadinsuranceGroup.com. Work with Kyle to see if you can find a plan. And then, yeah, if you want what other people are doing and how they're living their lifestyle, you can listen to episodes of our podcast, workampershow.com. Some folks have talked about that in their interviews. Like I said, go to the Facebook groups and check it out. You know, just pose general questions and you'll get some general answers. There are lots of, at least a few still RVer forums that have been active for a long time on the internet, like RV1, or I forget what the URLs are, I'm sorry, in this exact moment, but yes, this has absolutely been discussed before. So kind of multiple ways and multiple tactics, and it's really, you know, going to be up to you to determine what sort of procedure that you want to take. All right, last question here. Last pre-submitted question anyway. Has anyone used a management company to maintain or rent out their home while on the road? Yes, it's definitely a good idea to have someone else manage your property while you're away. That way it's just not as big of a headache and less worry for you. Obviously, not having to deal with, you know, HVAC systems going out and cleaning in between tenants and stuff like that. If you're, you know, 2,000 miles away, it would be a pain to have to go back and deal with that. So definitely having a management company, or if you can create a little contract with a family member or a friend that you feel confident that they will be able to fulfill it. And if they don't fulfill it, you wouldn't have any trouble having a conversation with them about not fulfilling the expectation. Then yeah, definitely certainly a couple options, ways you can go there with managing your rental property. All right, those were the pre-submitted questions, you guys. We got through all of those. Woohoo! We could definitely go more in depth on lots of different topics, and we do so in videos at workamper.com. So on our website, again, we do have our media library and what's called My University. So when we're back here on the dashboard, we have this media library button, and then also My University courses, the article index I kind of mentioned. We do link to our podcast here on our site as well. So lots of different topics that we go more in depth on, because we really just kind of covered the surface today. But our media library is really great. If we scroll all the way down here, we have some general RVing topics that we cover: domicile, tires, mail forwarding services, boondocking. As we scroll down here, we get into steps of finding a work camping job, making a good first impression, all about work agreements, which we didn't even talk about, going more in depth on interviewing, developing your resume, a few different things like that. So Lots of stuff to dig in. Again, our goal is to help you guys feel prepared and confident in this lifestyle. You're going to be more likely to find the right jobs that, you know, meet your needs, fulfill your wants, things like that. So I encourage you to become a member. Hope you'll become a member and check us out. Please feel free to contact us directly with questions anytime, phone, email. You can find us on all the social media networks, things like that. All right, so those of you who are still online with us and hanging in there, if you guys have questions or any input that you want to share, you know, feel free to type that in. We'll hang out here for a couple more minutes. All right, so we did have a couple questions submitted in. So Carrie is asking, what is the normal RV space at a campground? Is it in the general park area or a separate area? So this is going to be a great question for the employer that you interview with, because it's going to vary. So I'll just give you a few examples that I can just think of off the top of my head. So with kind of traditional commercial campgrounds or RV parks, likely work campers will be mixed in with the normal camping crowd, or maybe a specific part of the normal campsites will be for work campers. Sometimes it is a separate area. And so like some Army Corps of Engineer properties, they've created these areas called Volunteer Village. And it's this fenced off area with multiple sites in it. And they usually have a facility there that has like a kitchenette and laundry facilities, and all that's just for the work campers, which is really cool. Bolin Travel Centers, they operate in New Mexico and Arizona. You might have seen their billboards as you've driven down the interstate in those states, but their RV sites are located behind the travel center. And it's a travel center, it's not a campground. So those RV sites are just going to be for the workers. Obviously no normal, just camping guests coming and going. Another example, Adventureland Amusement Park in Iowa. They have a campground that's right next to the amusement park, but the campground is also for general campers, and the work campers are just mixed in amongst all the other campers. Prairie Berry Winery up in South Dakota. They started using work campers a few years ago. The work camper program really took off. They really enjoyed having work campers, but they didn't have RV sites. They had to help work campers find RV sites just in the area. So Prairie Berry built an employee campground for their work campers on their property. So now it's just a special camping area for the work campers. So that's pretty cool. Concessionaires in the national park, back to Yellowstone General Stores. Like I said, they have leased campsites from the National Park Service. So those RV sites typically are employee housing areas only. So the campsites will be in a location near the dormitories where workers will be, and they're also usually mixed in with other concessionaires. So I think Xanterra is the other operator, as well as a couple others in Yellowstone specifically, but you may be mixed in with, you know, Xanterra workers, the Park Service Station workers, and Delaware North could all be in one kind of employee camping area. But in that case, you wouldn't be mixed in with normal camping customers. If you work for a concessionaire that operates like a Forest Service campground, then you will likely have the camp host spot in the campground, and your site will have the little camp host sign. And, you know, as the campers come and go, they'll probably drive right past your RV site. And so you're kind of essentially like on display all the time. So that's another factor to kind of think about as to what you want with your work camping gig. Like, are you okay with a camper coming up and knocking on your door to ask you a question kind of any time of day? Or are you like, no, we'd really like to not be in the camping crowd and just kind of find a position where I'm only camping with other work campers, you know? So you can definitely do that. Or you take a position where you find your own RV site wherever you want to be. To do the job. So it is going to vary as far as where the RV space that is being provided to you is going to be at, but you definitely want to ask ahead of time so that way you know. And you know, even if it is in kind of the normal camping sites, if it is a campground or RV park, Is it right near the bathhouse or the sewer dump? Is it right near the dumpsters? Is it under a bunch of trees? Is it in a big open space that's really windy? Like, those are all some other things that you may want to know. If you look on the website and most of the RV sites are gravel sites, maybe the Workamper sites are paved, asphalt, or concrete because they made it a little nicer for the Workampers. Or vice versa. The normal camping customers have nice paved sites, but the sites they made for the Workampers are just grass and gravel. So again, you can't necessarily look at a campgrounds RV site and assume the sites that they're advertising on their website are the type of site that you would receive as a Workamper. So Carrie, it's definitely good of you to think of that and ask that question ahead of time. Okay. One more question that came in here from Michael. Do you ever have openings for Workampers at military hosted campgrounds or RV parks? I'm trying to remember, maybe a couple, but it's not a big thing. I'm not sure if, so there's a website called volunteer.gov, and I know entities like, Army Corps of Engineer projects can use volunteer.gov, US Fish and Wildlife Service, US Forest Service, and I think maybe National Park Service. So like volunteer opportunities with those entities will be listed, can be listed on volunteer.gov. So I'm not sure if the military then would also use that since it's kind of a government entity website. So you might check there. I'm just trying to scan my brain and think. I can do some more searching on that, kind of search through our ad database. Like I've seen most of the ads that come through our system, but I certainly can't remember all of them after so many years here. So I'll take a look, but it isn't a lot. It's likely they're able to fulfill their needs with the staff that are already on the base. So it's probably not often that they have to use outside sources to find folks to work their facilities. But I'll check into that, Michael, and if I find that we've had any in the past, I'll let you know via email, okay? Cool. All right, guys, well, I think we got through all of the questions, but again, if y'all ever have any other questions about Workamping, definitely feel free to reach out to us. We have, contact links on our website. You can email us, support@workamper.com, give us a call. We're open 8 to 4:30 Central Time. Happy to assist you guys as best we can with your Workamping lifestyle. I definitely appreciate everyone who registered for this webinar and sent in your questions. I hope this has been helpful for you. We do have other Q&As that I've done in the past. Those are available on the Workamper News YouTube channel. So if you go to youtube.com/workamper, you'll find our YouTube channel. I have a playlist there with the Q&A recordings. If you open the description, you'll see all the different questions or topics that we went through, and you can click to go to the specific one that interests you. So you don't necessarily have to sit and listen to me do the full spiel on everything. So I think that's pretty cool and a good way to kind of quickly get information that you guys are looking for. So I hope you'll check those out. But regardless of your status, whether you're just learning about Workamping, just getting started, or been at it for a while, we certainly hope it's everything that you guys had hoped for. Workamping can be a really great lifestyle, but again, it takes some work to find the right opportunities and the right matches to make it great for you guys. So, all right, with that, I wish you all safe travels and happy Workamping.